All right. Good day, everybody. Welcome to our boot camp here today for day three. Let me close a few windows here. Um, yeah, welcome. Today we are going to focus a little bit on two things that can help you with Supernova. Okay, so one thing we're going to talk a little bit about structure. Okay, and we're going to talk a little bit about fair value gap. So anybody here who's brand new, this might be a little bit above some people, but that's okay because we're here to learn and we want to share all this stuff. So we are going to talk a little bit about these things here. Okay, let me get this chart. Oops, where's my chart? It's right there. Okay, so I'm going to share the screen here. Okay, so I'm going to share the screen. Where are you, Zoom? Okay, just gonna get my face up here. Come on, computer, let's go. Okay, so today we're just going to talk about a couple of things here. And we're going to talk a little bit about something called the first thing we're going to talk about is structure. Okay. And the second thing we're going to talk about is a fair value gap. Okay. So those are the two things we're going to talk about here today. Okay. So first things first is we're going to talk, and then we'll go over some of the signals. Okay. Okay, so anybody here who was trading today, this was CPI, was bad for inflation. So this is what happens when they talk about inflation and the dollar going through the roof. The dollar did essentially, change itself and start to drop, so which gave this thing a little bit an opportunity to start to make its way back up, but now it's kind of stuck and it's kind of ended. So what we're going to talk about here is how we can use something called a fair value gap. Okay. So fair value gap, or people like to call them FVG. Okay. We're going to talk a little bit about how we can use those to our advantage. Okay. So when a signal leaves a fair value gap behind. Now, what is a fair value gap? A fair value gap, and on the 1 minute, it's not all that strong. Okay. On the 5 minute, much stronger. Okay. But on the one, it's just going to tell us that the market may pull back to us. Okay. That the market may pull back to us, which if you were looking at this buy, okay, and I'm going to go into replay mode. Okay. A fair value gap. I'm just going to go into replay mode so everybody can see what happens after. Okay. And there was lots of pips in this signal to jump right into it. Okay. But something you can look at is a fair value gap. So a fair value gap is when three candles leave a gap between candles. So, right, as an example, we're going to show you these three candles. Okay. We got one candle here, two candles there, and then the signal candle. So what do I mean by a gap behind it? There's a gap behind the first and the third candle, which is usually in the body of the second candle, right? So this is a fair value gap. That means that there's a pretty good opportunity that that's going to want to come back to that value and to grab that volume before it starts to make its way. Now, this signal, of course, went and crushed. It had 30 plus pips in it, or 50 plus pips in it. I grabbed 50 off it, and I haven't been on the chart all day. And so, yeah, so what it does is it leaves this gap behind, which I'm going to show you. Okay. Don't worry. Okay. Don't worry. It'll get drawn. Okay. And so what we're going to do is I'm going to show you the three candles. Okay. I'm going to show you the three candles. Okay. So this is your first candle. This is your second candle. And this is your third candle. Okay. Now the gap that's left behind, the fair value gap, is going to be the gap between this candle and the bottom of that candle, which means usually that there's a little bit of volume sitting there. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you that gap. And that didn't work, of course. Okay. So I'm going to show you that gap. I'm going to put a little box there. Okay. So this signal went and banged out 50 pips. There was no reason to wait, but I'm just showing you because there is an example here on this. Okay. So we use a little rectangle here, and from the top of this to the bottom of that leaves a little gap here. Okay, so if you're being super patient, as you can see, it comes all the way back to this level, right? You're like, okay, maybe you missed the signal and you're like, okay, maybe it's going to give me another pull, maybe a pull back into a different direction, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. Okay. What do I want to, and I want to wait for to see if this chart, lots of people trade just these gaps. And as you can see, as we play this thing, it hits the top of this and then pulls back to this gap, right? Hits the top, bounces around, and look at that. Okay. Comes right back into this gap. Nope. Okay. Comes right back into this gap that's left behind. It actually wicks into it once and wicks into it again. And then we can see what it does after. Right? So that gap is, we didn't have to use it. We didn't have to stay out of it, right? Because you can see, even if you got into it here, there was 50 pips, bam, you could have been done. You could have held on to this thing, right? 177. Oh, that actually would have taken you out at that gap. But there was 50 pips here, so you could have taken some pips. It came back and hit that gap and then moved up. So the one thing that you can be aware of is that a lot of the times these signals will leave one behind. And that can just tell you that the signal might come and then pull back to that gap. And of course, we got that impulsive move first, right? We got that impulsive move first to head back up, right? But you can see, right, that it comes back to this gap. Now let's just go look at a couple other ones. We'll see if it leaves. We'll see another one here. We'll see if we get another signal and if it leaves a gap behind. Okay. So here comes another signal. Did it leave a gap behind? So if we're looking at this thing, right? And let's just go look at the whole, let's just talk about the fair value gaps besides the signal, right? You can see we get the star, we get 1, 2, 3 candles, and it left just a little one here. But look what it does right after, right? Look at what it does right after. It leaves a little fair value gap, pulls back and grabs it, and then it doesn't leave one here, right? Not at any significance, maybe like 1 pip or something, nothing of any significance. And when you don't see a fair value gap behind it, it's usually a pretty good indication that the trade just wants to run. And what did this one do? Right? We got into this thing, there was a fair value gap behind, but this came back and took it out and then took off. And what happens when it doesn't leave a fair value gap behind? It usually just takes off. Okay, and you can see this thing had this was a full TP on it. Right? So two of these trade, two full TP and then some, right? It actually had almost 200 pips in it, right? This one went over here and smoked that full 100 pip TP. Lots of people in our chat got that thing. And that is one that didn't leave a fair value gap behind. It left one back down here, but it came back and grabbed it, which means that it's ready to go now. It's got its volume and ready to go. Okay. So those are things you can pay attention to. Now we'll see if we can find one. We found one that didn't leave one behind, and we found one that did. And the one that did leave one behind, it does go and run, but it came back and grabbed it, right? And then peeled off in that direction. Okay. So let's talk. Okay. Those are fair value gaps to be aware of. And as you can see, this thing just kept running and running and running. And now we're going to talk a little bit about how we can avoid a trade like this. Okay. So if we don't see a fair value gap, then there's a better indication that this thing wants to take off and run. If we do see one, we can be patient for it to come back to it before we get into it. Easy peasy. Now, one thing here is this thing didn't leave any fair value gaps behind, but something it didn't do. Okay. This is where we're going to talk. We're going to move into these ones because we're going to talk about structure. Okay. And just being a little bit more patient. Okay. Just being a little bit more patient with this. Okay. Sorry, someone's trying to call me. Okay. Just be a little bit more patient. Right. And so let's talk about this structure that we saw. Right. So while the market had started to show you, right? So if we're talking about this movement here, what's the market telling us? Okay. This will be the difference between getting into a pullback or getting into a reversal. And when we want to take these things, we want to take reversals. Okay. That's what we're looking for. We're not looking for, we don't want to get into the pullback, right? And that's what this is, right? And we're going to talk about how we identify that. So this is just a little bit, this is definitely the next kind of level of training. Okay. Obviously, you want people to just take the signals. And if you did that today, you were already up 150 before you ever got to this sell signal, right? Easy peasy. But if you look at this structure, right? Pushes to the EMAs, pulls back to that fair value, pushes up to this EMA, pulls back to this, pushes up to here, pulls back again. What is structure telling you at this point? If you were to look at structure, what's it telling you? What's it telling you? It's telling you up. Okay? It's telling you up. Okay? It's telling you up. So if we were to get into a sell here, where would we want to get into that sell? Let's talk about if structure was going to continue up, which it does, right? Where do you think, if we are still here, let's take the bar, okay, and we're still here, what level do you think structure would bounce at if it was going to continue up? If this was just a little pullback to continue up, where do you think that would be? Okay. 50 potentially, but if we're looking just at structure, and the 50 is sitting right at this structure, right? But look at this structure, right? We can just make a line here, actually. Okay. Look at this structure, right? So there is structure here, and the structure is still pointing upwards. Okay. In order, we don't want to get into a pullback, right? So something that we want to pay attention to is where that structure will change. That's how you can tell the difference between a pullback and a reversal. You know, a potential reversal must start to break structure, right? Right? It must start to break structure. Okay, so it pulls back here. If it has to break this structure before I'm excited for it to go down, right? Because if it doesn't break this structure, then I could just be jumping into a pullback that wants to head back up, right? If this thing doesn't break this line and start to head down here, then structure isn't broken. And this thing essentially could still be in this pullback, right? So let's watch what happens. Now, this sell comes right at that structure. Now, if we're looking at risk reward, right? We're looking at risk reward. Is that something that we want to be in when we have, I mean, I guess there's 15 pips, maybe 20 pips there, right? We don't want to jump in right at that structure, right? Because we want to make sure that it's going to be reversing and we're not just jumping in the wrong direction into a pullback, which is exactly what this is, right? You see that structure, it doesn't break that structure. It hits this structure, and then what does it do? It continues on trend, right? So this structure is very important when it comes to these signals. And these are things that you're going to get used to, right? That you're going to see ahead of time. Either you want enough room to that structure or you want it to be past it already before this signal comes, which it doesn't. It's literally right on top of it. Okay. Now let's talk about something else we see. Okay. Let's say this sell signal is coming right there. Okay. Sell signal's coming. Here it comes. It's about to pop up. What do you see left behind? We just talked about something in there. What do you see left behind? There you go. There's a gap here, right? It's not huge. That big old candle dropped down, but there's a gap here, right? There's a gap here. So let's say it didn't break structure over here. The signal's about to come. You're like, okay, the signal's about to come. It didn't break structure over here, and there's a gap left behind. So now it's just like, you know what? I don't like this signal. Let's see if it's going to come and then pull back to this structure, which what does it do? Signal comes, bounces down, right back through this structure, and it doesn't stop here. It just rips through it and goes and creates a higher high. This is when you're like, okay, glad I waited that signal out because it didn't break structure and it left a fair value gap behind. Which you're like, even if you were just patient to be like, okay, I'm not going to jump into this thing until at least it breaks structure, or it comes back and grabs this gap, this fair value gap, and then heads down. Well, you could have avoided that loss there, right? Okay. Doesn't matter what color the three candles are. Of course it does. You mean it's a sell, three red candles. Oh, and the fair value gap. No, it doesn't matter. It just matters the three candles. They don't all have to be the same color, no. Right? Because you can see, I mean, that was an indecisive candle, and so was that. And it does kind of wick back to that gap a little bit. You can see it wicks back, but it doesn't quite fill it up. So, two reasons to avoid this, right? Would have stayed out of this, wouldn't have taken that loss. I mean, if you took those first two signals, you're up, you're up 150 pips and you shouldn't have been worried about it. You shouldn't even have been in. Trading View doesn't knock it off here, man. I'm going to stop using it. Okay. So, two reasons, and let's just keep going through these signals. So we would have stayed out of that. We've been like, okay, that one didn't break structure and it left a fair value gap behind. So I'm not that excited about it. And structure continued up, right? So you're like, okay, let's keep moving. Let's talk about the next signal we get. Okay. Bum, 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 bum. Okay. Now, this one would have been tough. This one would have been tough to stay out of. It just barely broke structure, right? You can see there's a whole bunch of volume here, but this one you probably would have taken a loss on, right? 238's behind you, all those things. Um, right? You probably would have taken a loss on here. Okay. 404 back to there, 60 pips, right? So this was starting to, and you can see that if you're paying attention, right, this structure started to show you this downwards. Okay. All right, we're gonna. I don't think there's any more. Maybe there might be another one coming here. Okay, so we're about to get another signal. Okay, already have one up here. It has broken structure there. It's back above the 238. Let's see if it can hold that side. I don't know what that white line is, but that was that structure we were talking about before. Okay. Yeah, there's a fair value gap right there. 100% right here. Okay. So, and it's quite counter and it just wicked above structure and came back. So let's see what this wants to do. I do like that it just went right back above this 238, but let's see what these next few candles want to do. Okay. Oh my dear. My dear. Okay. So let's see what this next candle wants to do. See if it comes back and grabs this, or if it wants to go right through the bottom of it. The signal still hasn't come yet. So if it hits this, then bounces around, then gives us the signal. Now we have a little bit of a better, opportunity to get into that. It doesn't look like that's what it wants to do, but we'll see. And this is also why we wait for the candles to close. Okay, pulls back, just broke through that gap. Okay, so you can see that little fair value gap. Christine noticed it right away, right? And it came right back down, right back below it. Now let's see. Now let's see if this pushes back up, clears this again, breaks that 50 and gives us our signal. Let's see if that's what it wants to do. Be a little extra patient with this. We missed that the signal didn't actually happen. Immediate 1 minute candle all the way back to that fair value gap. And now we want to see what it wants to do coming out of it. And maybe we'll take this thing together and manage it and see what it wants to do. We're not worried about that. We're not going that direction. Nope. Worry about the fair value gap that's going in the direction of your signal. Don't worry about the rest of it. Okay. This is actually in the same spot as this one. Let's go. Let's see if this candle closes. Okay. It's moving the opposite direction of those fair value gaps. So let's not get it doesn't have to go back and bounce that. Nope. Yeah, 100%. Just giving you more patience with some of these signals. It didn't close above there. Ah. It didn't close above and give us our signal, so we shouldn't quite be in this thing yet. I think I don't like that candle push back ahead here. I want to see the signal come. I am on the 1 minute in Black Bull, and there is a fair value gap right there. So our charts can't be different. So they legit can't. We're looking at the same chart. I don't know what chart you're on, Ty. And now the VIX isn't going to confirm our signal. Yeah, I mean, I don't have it. It should have given it to us here. I don't like all these wicking candles. Yeah, we're definitely we're above the 238. It's right there, right? And it didn't give me a signal again. This is becoming annoying. Pulled back on us again. So we're going to be patient here. I don't like that very much. Yeah, the doji. I got a doji right there. It's going to be fine. Okay. I don't really know what your settings. Maybe you have some different settings or something, but I don't know how ours could be different. I actually don't know how we could be on the exact same chart and have something different happening. So, oh, go back again. My chart does not show a buy signal. Nope. It doesn't have a candle closed above the 50 yet. It had one open above the 50, it hasn't had it close yet. So I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. Okay, we're gonna get a look and see if we can manage this thing together. Okay. Oh, oh. So I'm trying to wait to see if this wants to get back ahead of some stuff here, but it's not doing. Okay, there we go. All right. We should get it now, so I'm gonna go. There it is. So I don't know if I don't know why you guys would get different ones, but I don't know what the VIX was at. I didn't see the signal. Let's see the VIX. Yeah, we did not get VIX confirmation. So we're all okay. I don't know why people are getting different. So we wait. We're patient. We'll see if this thing wants to move. See if there's anything. Oh, look, we can go on the 15 there. Mm-mm-mm. I'm getting ready to go here. All right. I'm in. I'm going in here. Right there. Definitely is no VIX confirmation. Okay. Oh, I need to see so much more than that, Ty, to understand what you're looking at or chart you're on or any of those things. You're on Fusion Markets, Ty. Like, and literally, it says right there, Dow Jones Fusion Markets. Well, I'm on Black Bull. So, I mean, that's fine. That can be your broker, but it's not going to match up to what mine is. I'm on Black Bull. We have different prices, different liquidity providers. Yep. I mean, we essentially got the signal at the same, essentially the same level, but you know. So yeah, let's manage this thing. What are we in now? We're only up 10 pips. Trying to be patient with this thing. What's the dollar doing? Dollar is starting to drop a little bit. It's like we're gonna get a pullback here. Red star, so we're gonna have to jam this thing. Yeah. I get another blue candle here. I'm gonna move my stop. Ah, I don't like that red star, so I might even just take the 10 pips here, but we'll see. Okay, we got a nice candle. Move your stop loss to there. Okay. Should be about 10 pips ish. Yeah, it's 5 pips. But there's a red star. We got to protect against it. Break that structure there. Already up lots of pips today, so I don't want to myself into anything here. Oh, somebody's unmuted. Please mute yourself, everybody. Okay. And oh, I'm still okay on my MT4. It's not in the same spot. I'm not worried about the 20 on the 5. It didn't wake me out on my MT4, but it might have got some people there for like 5 pips. Yeah, we can take 10. 10's good. My MT4 is still alive. I don't know if it's going to be. I'm just in a little bit of a different spot. I got a little better entry and a little different to place on MT4. I have no idea. I can't see what's going on in your broker. I have no clue. Nope. Go watch day 2. Their recordings are in there. All right, I'm gonna trap a bit more. I didn't wake me out on my MT4. I'm gonna trap it here. Give me a nice, what is that? Roll it up. There we go. I got 10. It's nice to see. Let's go and get a nice big TP back here. Let's see what this was on the 5. Where does that go? I'm gonna stretch that a little bit. And then we're gonna go right back up to here. Okay. We'll stretch it over here. Well, some pips for all. I mean, at least we're locked in. We're risk free. This thing's getting ready to run out of here finally. Okay. Stupid signal got wicked out and now it's back on the right direction and this thing's about to get out of here. What do we got now? I got it 60, 90. I'm just going to trap a bit more. I'm up today. I'm not going to give any more pips back, so I'm just going to trap a little bit more here. Also because that red star. Okay. We're in. We're good. Risk free. Like why? I can't go you I can't help you through your broker. I don't know what you're looking for here. How your stop loss isn't higher than your entry. This one goes blue, I'm gonna trap it again because I'm just protecting against this red star. Well, we haven't quite got to 30 yet. We get to 30, I'll probably take it, but we'll see. What do we got here? What do you get into this? So 80 would be 20 pips. I'd like to get 20 out of this. I believe, I mean, I'm in a buy, so I hope so, yeah. Trend and the 15 looks like a big old pullback on the 15 heading back up. But either way, it can do whatever it wants now. I'm risk free, so come whack me out. I don't care. I'm already up a bunch of pips from earlier, so takes the star again. I'll move my stop again. I would like to get 25, 30 out of this thing, so we'll just be patient here and see what the next couple candles bring. You can see there's a rejection level coming right there. Oh, you're gonna come wick me out, are you? Stop talking about kill shot. But yes, kill shot signal did come for sure. We want to see this thing go down. This thing's starting to go down. So the only thing the US 30 is doing today is reacting to the dollar. It's going to take me out now. Oh, I'm actually a little bit low that. So the dollar's starting to drop a bit, so it's relieving some of this pressure. Okay. I'm going to check this 5 minute and see about moving my stop again if this thing goes blue. So I'm just waiting. So one thing you can do, and this is a really good way to trail. I mean, this is probably going to take me out now, but I like to trail on the 5 minute. I like to come to the 5 and trail it over here because if this candle goes blue, right, I'd like to trail it up. If this candle goes blue, I can get up behind that 5 minute, but this was a pretty fast little scalp here. That's going to wick me out. It's just missing me every time on my FT4. Just missed me again. Oh, oh, it still missed me. What are you doing? Yes, Mr. Sabo. It still hasn't got me on my MT4, but oh, it got me now. I took 19. Oh, 18 there. It's okay. It didn't have the VIX, wasn't confirmed. Okay. Wasn't the VIX. It wasn't confirmed by the VIX. Red star popped. So all those things were good reason for us to protect this thing to see what it wants to do. So nice little pushback, a little bounce, a little buy signal coming out of the 238, and that's how we do it. Okay. Or was that fair value gap, which we were really talking about today. We watched it happen in real time, watched it pulled up here. And if this candle would have closed, we would have got a signal, then back to the fair value gap, and then up we went. Right? So the things we were talking about today happened. Right? Wasn't one left behind here. This one you might have taken a loss. But let's say we are okay, we had that red triangle. So let's just talk about the pips that we had today. This one had 50, so we got 50 there. This buy had 100, so you're up 150. This sell, even if you took this sell, and let's say we took it, we took a loss of 50, so we're down back down to 100. We took another loss of 50, back down to 50, and we would have just got, 10. What we got? I got 19 out of it. Say you got 10 or 15, so you're up 65 pips today. Which, if you're using a 1% risk, you're up 1% at a bit today, right? Now, if you could have used some of these things I showed you today, some of these fair value gaps, and you could have avoided this one, I don't think we could have avoided that one. You would have been up well over 100 for the day, right? Good to go, man. So tomorrow we're going to do setups. So we'll do A plus setups. We're going to show you the best setups. That's going to show you where your stop loss goes, where your TP goes, the things that can protect a stop loss. We're going to talk about those setups. We can talk about hitting that fair value gap first. Okay. And all those things that we can show you guys to have better results with some of these signals. Okay. So that's our call here today. Welcome to day 3 of the boot camp. Tomorrow is day 4, and then on Friday we'll probably do a little marathon where we'll just trade this thing for a few hours in the morning. And keep teaching you guys how to move your accounts forward with this scanner. So love you guys. Have a wonderful, wonderful day, and we will see you tomorrow. Peace, Sulik.